Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
There's this one moment in almost every job hunt that really makes people nervous. The interview.
Oh, absolutely. High stakes.
Totally. And there's that one question, isn't there? The one that seems to, make or break things for so many candidates.
Let me guess. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Bingo. Sounds straightforward, right? But honestly, the number of people who fumble this, who give an answer that just tanks their chances, it's huge.
It really is. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive. Consider this your shortcut to really getting that question right.
A shortcut sounds good.
We've been looking closely at the insights from the CareerVids YouTube channel. They've done a ton of analysis on, top scoring answers.
And what's the secret sauce they found?
Well, it's interesting. It's not just what people say, but really how they say it. The strategy behind it, the confidence, that's what separates the okay answers from the great ones.
Okay, so our mission today for you listening is pretty simple. We want to give you the structure, some really solid examples, and honestly, just the confidence to turn this question from something you dread into, a chance to actually impress.
Exactly. We're pulling out the key takeaways, the real strategic bits from the source to give you an edge.
Let's help you turn that tricky moment into a win. So, thinking about that dread, maybe we should start with what not to do.
Good idea. Before we get into the winning strategies, let's clear out the definite no-nos, the things that basically guarantee you won't get the job.
Yeah, the absolute pitfalls. What's top of the list?
Well, according to the source, the first big mistake is starting your answer with something like, oh, wow, that's a difficult question.
Ah, why that bad? Shows you're thinking.
Not really. It mostly just signals you're unprepared or, lacking a bit of confidence right out of the gate. Interviewers expect you've thought about this one.
Okay, so avoid looking flustered. What else?
The other classic, the one you absolutely have to avoid, is claiming you have no weaknesses, or worse.
Let me guess. The I'm a perfectionist line.
That's the one. Saying you have no weaknesses because you're a perfectionist, it's such a common response, but it's really detrimental.
Right. I think maybe early in my career, I might have even considered that one.
Yeah.
Why is it such a turnoff for interviewers, though? What are they actually hearing?
They're hearing a major lack of self-awareness, or potentially that you're not willing to be honest and reflective about yourself.
So it sounds fake.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Or like you're trying to dodge the question. Employers aren't looking for robots, right? They want real people who know themselves, know where they can grow, and are actually working on it.
Makes sense. You want someone who's self-aware.
Exactly. Hiding behind perfectionism just suggests you're either kidding yourself or trying to mislead them. It doesn't build trust. So yeah, avoiding those traps is like step one.
Got it. So if you've ever thought about using that perfectionist line, now you know why it's a definite no-go. Avoiding those is your first move. Okay, so we know what not to do. Let's flip it.
Let's talk strengths.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The source highlights some really impactful strengths, ones that employers genuinely notice because they add real value.
Absolutely. And the core strategy here, the one CareerVids really pushes, is to talk about three specific strengths. Three strengths that directly add value to the company and, importantly, to the specific role you're interviewing for. These aren't just generic good qualities.
They need to be relevant.
Right. They need to be things that you can show contribute to, the team's success, the company's goals, a positive environment, and crucially, you don't just say them.
You need to back them up, right?
Exactly. And this is where a framework like the STAR method comes in really handy.
STAR. Okay, quick refresher for anyone listening.
Yeah.
What does STAR stand for and why use it here?
Sure. STAR is situation, task, action, result. It's basically a way to structure your example.
Like telling a mini story.
Precisely. You briefly describe the situation, the task you faced, the specific action you took that demonstrates the strength, and then, this is key, the positive result of that action.
So you're proving it, showing, not just telling.
That's it. It makes your claim much more believable and impactful. So, shall we run through the top 8 strengths the source identified?
Let's do it. What's number 1?
First up, loyalty. This isn't just about sticking around, though that's part of it. It's about being a great role model, aligning with the company's values, and signaling you want to be there long term. Stability.
Yeah, loyalty today isn't just about tenure, is it? It's more about commitment, reducing churn, showing you're invested. You're someone that they can build with.
Exactly. Number 2, fitting into a team quickly. This is about showing you can get up to speed fast, understand how the team works, and start contributing without needing constant supervision.
Being adaptable, hitting the ground running. So if you were, say, a project manager applying for a role, you'd use STAR to show how you joined a team mid-project and immediately added value.
Perfect example. Show how you quickly grasped the dynamics and contributed. Okay, third strength. Passion for your work.
Passion. That sounds a bit vague.
It can be if you don't explain it, but here it means genuinely taking pride in what you do, really wanting to deliver top quality work, often doing more than just the bare minimum because you care.
So it's about that internal drive, wanting to do well because you want to, not just because it's the job spec. That definitely translates to better results.
It does. Fourth is being a problem solver. And this is crucial. It's not just spotting problems.
It's fixing them.
Right. Taking responsibility for challenges, analyzing them, finding solutions, not just pointing fingers or leaving it for your manager.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
How do you talk about that without sounding like you're bad-mouthing a previous place or, taking all the credit?
Again, STAR helps. Focus on your action and the result. I encountered situation X, I took action Y to resolve it, and the result was Z. Keep it focused on your positive contribution.
Okay. Makes sense. What's number 5?
Number 5, being cost conscious. This one can be really powerful.
Especially now, maybe.
Definitely. It means you're mindful of resources, you don't waste supplies, and importantly, you actively look for ways to make processes more efficient, maybe even save the company money.
So you're thinking like an owner, basically.
Yeah.
Seeing the bigger financial picture, looking for efficiencies, that's valuable anywhere.
Hugely valuable.
Right.
6th is being a supportive collaborator. This is about being a great team player.
Not just doing your own thing.
Right. Helping colleagues, offering support, maybe even being willing to train new people. It's about lifting the whole team up.
Fostering that positive group dynamic. Yeah. Essential. Number 7.
7th, commercial awareness. This is understanding how the business actually works beyond just your own desk.
Seeing the forest, not just the trees.
Kind of. It's knowing that you're paid to deliver value, doing work on time and to a high standard, and maybe even going the extra mile because you understand the importance of return on investment for the company.
So connecting your work to the bottom line. Being a partner, not just an employee.
You got it. And finally, number 8, leadership capability. And you don't need manager in your title for this.
Right. Informal leadership.
Exactly. It's about stepping up in tough situations, showing initiative, solving tricky problems yourself instead of just escalating everything. It shows ownership.
Taking the lead when needed.
Oh.
Proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are 8 really solid strengths. And the key is pick 3 that genuinely fit you and the role, and then use that STAR method to give concrete examples.
Show, don't just tell. That's the mantra.
Right. So we've covered strengths. Now, the bit everyone finds awkward, weaknesses. But you're saying this can actually be a positive. How does that work?
It absolutely can be if you handle it strategically. This is your chance to show self-awareness and maturity. The key here is choose only one weakness.
Just one, not 3 strengths.
Just one. And critically pick one that is not a core requirement for the job you're applying for. You don't want to talk yourself out of the running?
Okay, that makes sense. Don't say I'm terrible with deadlines if it's a project manager job.
Precisely. The goal isn't to highlight a fatal flaw. It's to show you know yourself, you're realistic, and this is crucial. You're actively working on that area. It demonstrates a commitment to growth.
So turn the negative into a positive story about development. Okay, what are some safe examples the source suggests?
Let's look at the 5 they highlight. First, public speaking.
Ah, a classic. Lots of people dislike that.
Exactly. You can honestly say you're not naturally comfortable giving presentations to large groups. It's relatable and often not central to many roles.
But you can't just leave it there, can you? You have to add the working on it part.
Always. Always mention you're aware of it and looking for ways to improve, maybe taking opportunities for smaller talks or joining a group like Toastmasters. Second safe one, giving people honest feedback.
Ooh, tricky. How do you phrase that safely?
You might say you sometimes tend to shy away from potentially confrontational feedback because you don't want to upset people.
So it shows you're maybe empathetic, but aware you need to be more direct sometimes for the team's benefit. That feels quite mature.
It does. Third, saying yes all the time. This one's quite common.
The people pleaser trap.
Right. You could explain that your default is to help whenever asked, but you're learning that this sometimes leads to taking on too much, and you're now working on prioritizing better.
I like that one. It sort of frames a positive trait, being helpful, as something you're learning to manage more effectively. Shows self-awareness about boundaries.
Exactly. Fourth, finding it difficult to let go of projects.
Meaning you overcheck things.
Yeah, perhaps you tend to keep reviewing work, maybe being a bit too meticulous. But crucially, you add that you recognize this tendency and you're actively trying to, trust your initial work more and move on efficiently.
That shows dedication, but also an understanding that perfectionism can stall progress. How would someone actively work on that, though? What could they mention?
Good question. You could mention setting firm review deadlines or maybe deliberately switching tasks to create distance, forcing yourself to let go. It shows you have a strategy.
Okay, and the last one.
Finally, number 5, being too self-critical. Many high achievers are tough on themselves.
Guilty.
Right. You constantly analyze your actions. And while reflection is good, you recognize that beating yourself up isn't productive. So you're working on turning that critical eye into more constructive self-improvement, focusing on learning rather than dwelling.
That really taps into the growth mindset idea, doesn't it? Showing you can turn introspection into actual progress. So for all these weaknesses, the key is pick one safe one, acknowledge it honestly, and crucially, show you're actively working on improving it.
That's the formula. It turns a potential negative into a real positive demonstration of self-development.
Okay, this is a great theory, but let's see it in practice. The source actually provides 3 example answers from, like, a mock interview setting.
Yes, and they really illustrate how to weave the strengths and the weakness together effectively.
Let's hear them. How do they structure it?
Remember the structure. 3 value-adding strengths, then 1 safe, non-job matching weakness, framed with that commitment to growth. Okay, answer 1.
Lay it on us.
The candidate says their strengths are commercial awareness, fast pace of work, and collaboration skills. They explain how they understand the need to help the company succeed, they work quickly to meet deadlines, and they collaborate effectively across teams.
Okay, solid strengths, clearly linked to business value. What about the weakness?
Their weakness is public speaking. They admit they're not yet confident with large groups, but they immediately add it's an area they want to develop and would welcome opportunities in the role, maybe starting small.
See, I like how they frame that. It's not just, I'm bad at public speaking. It's, I'm not there yet, but I'm eager to grow into it if the role allows. Very proactive. Shows ambition, too.
Exactly, the language matters. Now, answer 2. This candidate leads with strengths like being able to quickly fit into any team, highlighting adaptability, then passion for work, explaining they get more done because they're driven, and problem-solving capabilities, taking ownership of issues.
Adaptable, driven, takes initiative. Strong combo. What's their weakness?
Their weakness is impatience. They describe having a strong hurry-up driver. They like things done quickly.
Ooh, that sounds risky.
How do they make it safe?
They acknowledge it. They say this drive sometimes clashes with others' pace, which can be frustrating, but crucially they add they're learning to manage this by setting clear expectations and understanding different working styles.
Okay, that self-awareness is key. The hurry-up driver phrase is quite memorable too. It feels authentic, like an honest reflection on a trait that's partly positive, results-focused, but needs managing, shows maturity, right? And finally, answer 3. Strengths here are a cost-conscious approach, always looking to save money, leadership capabilities, taking the lead even without the title, and flexibility and adaptability, willing to step outside their role or work extra hours when needed.
Wow, that's a strong set. Cost-saving, leadership, flexibility, very valuable stuff. What's the weakness?
Finding it difficult saying no to people. They explain they tend to agree to help immediately, which sometimes leads to being overloaded. Again, the key is adding they're learning to prioritize tasks better and delegate appropriately when possible.
Another one where the weakness stems from a generally positive trait, being helpful and willing. So listening to those examples, you can really hear the structure at play.
3 concrete strengths with implied value. 1 managed weakness showing self-awareness and growth.
And for you listening, think about which parts of those answers resonated. Which strengths feel like your strengths? Which safe weakness feels authentic to you? How could you adapt that structure?
It's about finding your own authentic version.
Absolutely. So we've really dug into this one question, haven't we? What seems simple on the surface is actually, well, a massive opportunity.
It really is a chance to show you're self-aware, you understand what value means to an employer, and you're committed to your own growth.
Yeah, connecting it to the bigger picture. It's not about pretending to be perfect. Nobody expects that.
No, quite the opposite. It's about showing you have a realistic grasp of who you are, how you tackle things, and that you're always looking to learn and improve. That realistic, growth-oriented view, that's incredibly attractive to employers.
So here's something for you to think about after this deep dive.
Yeah.
Considering everything we've discussed, what's a safe weakness you are genuinely, truly working on right now, not just for interviews, but for your own development?
Good question.
And how could you talk about that journey, that process of improvement, in a way that really showcases your growth mindset, maybe even in conversations outside of a formal interview? Something to mull over.
Definitely something to reflect on.